The twin flame journey is unlike anything else you will experience in this life. It is a connection so deep, so intense, and so raw that it awakens every hidden corner of your soul. This bond is not simply about romance or companionship. It is about spiritual evolution, deep inner healing, and the reunion of two halves of the same soul essence. It challenges everything you thought you knew about love and forces you to face yourself in ways that can be both painful and illuminating. Along this path, many experience confusion, frustration, and heartbreak, especially when it comes to the behavior of the divine masculine in the physical realm. One of the most common and emotionally charged aspects of this journey is receiving mixed messages or conflicting signals from your twin flame's masculine energy in 3D reality. One moment, they seem deeply connected to you, open, loving, and present. The next, they withdraw, detach, or behave as though the connection never existed. This back and forth can feel maddening. It can make you question everything: the bond, your intuition, and even your sanity. But what if I told you that this push and pull is not random? What if these mixed signals have a deeper meaning rooted in soul growth, spiritual lessons, and emotional resistance? The divine masculine's conflicting behavior in the 3D isn't meant to break you down. It is part of the larger transformation unfolding in both your soul and theirs. In today's video, we'll reveal 7 core reasons why the divine masculine sends mixed messages in the physical world. By the end, you will begin to understand what's really happening beneath the surface and return to your own center, feeling empowered in your journey rather than confused or defeated. Let's start. Number 1. The divine masculine is awakening but resisting the truth of the connection. In many twin flame dynamics, the divine masculine begins the journey from a place of spiritual dormancy, while the divine feminine often awakens first, feeling the depth of the connection, recognizing its spiritual nature, and surrendering to it. The masculine typically struggles to make sense of it all. For him, the feelings are real, the pull is undeniable, but the meaning behind it is unclear. His mind hasn't caught up with his heart. This dissonance creates inner conflict. He feels something powerful when he's with you, something sacred that he can't explain, but it scares him. It challenges his belief systems. It forces him to look at parts of himself he's spent years trying to avoid. Rather than embrace the connection, he might try to suppress it. He'll lean on logic, deny his emotions, or act like the connection isn't real, sending you cold or confusing signals. This resistance doesn't mean he doesn't feel the bond. On the contrary, it means he feels it deeply. But without the spiritual tools or emotional maturity to understand what's happening, he defaults to detachment, distraction, or denial. So one moment, you feel him opening up, texting you, showing vulnerability, or being emotionally present. The next, he shuts down or ghosts you entirely. Not because the connection vanished, but because it overwhelmed him. Understanding this helps you not take his retreat personally. It doesn't mean you're not important or that he doesn't care. It means he's fighting an internal war between his old self and the truth his soul is trying to show him. His mixed messages are the outer reflection of this inner tug-of-war. In time, as he awakens more fully, the inconsistency begins to fade. But in the early stages, it's a symptom of the spiritual cracking open that his soul is undergoing. The most powerful thing you can do in response is to stay grounded in your knowing. You don't need to chase, convince, or explain. Let him have his process. The more anchored you are in your own awakening, the more you create space for his to unfold as well. Number 2, he is triggered by the intensity of the connection and retreats to cope. This connection activates wounds that no other relationship ever could. The twin flame bond doesn't just bring love and joy, it also brings to the surface every unresolved pain, fear, and insecurity. For the divine masculine, this level of emotional intensity can feel like too much, too soon. Often his retreat is not rejection, it's an emotional safety mechanism. The closer he gets to you, the more vulnerable he feels. And vulnerability, for someone who hasn't learned how to hold space for his emotions, can feel like danger. So when he starts to feel too close, he might pull away. Not because he wants to hurt you, but because being close to you brings up parts of him he doesn't know how to handle. This is especially true if he carries emotional trauma, abandonment wounds, or feelings of unworthiness. Your unconditional love shines a spotlight on his self-doubt. Your emotional depth makes him realize how closed off he has been. And your spiritual presence stirs a longing in him that he doesn't yet understand. So instead of leaning in, he retreats to what feels safer: silence, avoidance, or distraction. These mixed signals are often an unconscious attempt to regain emotional control. He's not trying to toy with your heart. He's trying to find stable ground in a world that suddenly feels like it's spinning. The twin flame mirror reflects everything he has avoided, and that reflection can be terrifying if he hasn't been prepared for it. This is why patience and boundaries are so important during these times. You can hold space for his growth without allowing his fear to derail your own healing. Let him retreat if he needs to, but don't shrink yourself to make him feel more comfortable. Stand in your truth, trust the process, and continue doing your own inner work. His retreat is not the end. It's a necessary pause as he learns how to navigate the intensity of divine love. Number 3, he is navigating karmic ties and conflicted loyalties. One of the most painful aspects of this journey is watching your twin flame remain stuck in karmic relationships or environments that no longer serve their growth. Many divine masculines send mixed messages because they're emotionally torn between what their soul desires and what their current life demands. He may still be in a karmic partnership, dealing with family pressures, or living a life that was built on ego, not authenticity. Deep down, he knows it doesn't align with who he's becoming. But changing that reality feels overwhelming. So when you enter his life, the contrast between the truth of the soul and the weight of the karmic becomes undeniable. This can lead to emotional whiplash. One moment, he leans into the connection, feeling your presence as a lifeline to his soul. The next, he recoils, reminded of his obligations, his fears, and the tangled web he feels trapped in. It's not that he doesn't love you. It's that he doesn't yet know how to leave behind what he's outgrown. And until he fully releases those karmic attachments, his energy remains split. This split energy is what creates confusion in the 3D. He might reach out, confess his feelings, or express longing, then suddenly disappear or deny everything. This cycle is not because he wants to hurt you. It's because he hasn't fully chosen his path yet. His soul wants you, but his mind is still bound by loyalty, guilt, or fear. You cannot make this choice for him. You cannot accelerate his karmic lessons. But you can hold firm in your boundaries and keep your focus on your own spiritual growth. By not enabling his indecision or feeding into the emotional chaos, you help him face what he's been avoiding. And you remind him, on a soul level, that true union cannot exist without truth, clarity, and alignment. Number 4, he feels unworthy of the connection and sabotages it. At the root of many mixed signals is a deeply buried sense of unworthiness. The divine masculine, especially before his full awakening, often sees himself through the lens of his past, his mistakes, his flaws, his failures. So when he encounters your love, your light, and your unconditional presence, it doesn't always feel like a blessing. Sometimes it feels like a threat to the identity he's built. He begins to wonder, why would someone like you love someone like him? The more you accept him, the more he questions whether he deserves it. Instead of embracing your love, he starts to push it away, not because he doesn't value it, but because he doesn't feel worthy of receiving it. This inner self-sabotage shows up in strange ways. He may act distant without explanation. He might pick fights or create drama. He might even pursue other connections, not because he's moved on, but because being with someone who doesn't see his flaws feels safer than being with someone who sees all of him and still chooses to stay. This can be one of the most painful dynamics to witness. It can feel like you're being punished for loving him. But what's really happening is that your love is confronting the deepest wound he carries, the belief that he is not enough. The healing begins not by convincing him of his worth, but by demonstrating what self-worth looks like. The more you honor yourself, set clear boundaries, and walk in alignment with your soul, the more you model the energy he needs to rise into. This doesn't mean waiting around for him to catch up. It means continuing your journey with an open heart while trusting that he will return when he has learned to love himself enough to receive what you offer. Number 5, he is testing the safety of the connection without realizing it. One of the more subtle reasons the divine masculine sends mixed signals is that he is unconsciously testing the emotional safety of the connection. This isn't a test in the manipulative sense, it's more of an instinctive behavior, rooted in fear of being fully seen and then abandoned. On a deep soul level, he recognizes that this connection is not casual. It has the power to unravel his ego, strip away his masks, and force him into full vulnerability. But vulnerability requires trust, and trust takes time, especially for someone who spent most of his life hiding his inner world. So he sends signals, some warm, some cold. He may reach out and then go quiet. He might share something personal and then backtrack. He might open up emotionally, only to suddenly act aloof or distant. To you, it feels confusing and inconsistent. But to him, it's a way of gauging, is this love safe? Will I be rejected if I show all of me? Will she still be there if I fall apart in front of her? Sometimes this testing is subtle. He might not even realize he's doing it. But these behaviors are deeply rooted in survival patterns formed early in life, especially if he was taught that vulnerability leads to rejection, ridicule, or abandonment. When you come into his life and offer unconditional love, it challenges that narrative. And part of him wants to believe it, while another part is afraid to. This creates a push-pull dynamic. He wants closeness, but fears exposure. He desires connection, but mistrusts it. The result is emotional inconsistency, an energetic dance of approach and withdrawal. What helps in this scenario is emotional consistency from your end. Not chasing, not forcing, but being steady in your own emotional field. If he pulls away, let him. If he returns, meet him with calm and clarity, not judgment or blame. This doesn't mean tolerating emotional chaos. It means being the lighthouse rather than the storm. When he sees that your love isn't reactive or conditional, it helps soften those defense mechanisms. In time, the testing stops, not because you passed, but because he begins to feel safe enough to stop testing at all. Number 6. His ego is still in control and fears losing power. The twin flame connection threatens the very foundation of the ego. It strips away illusions, roles, and facades. For the divine masculine, especially one still rooted in the 3D matrix of success, control, image, and logic, this can feel like a total loss of power. And this fear can show up as resistance, denial, and emotional hot and cold behavior. When his ego is still dominant, he may resist surrendering to the connection. Why? Because surrendering means letting go of control. It means trusting something bigger than his mind can understand. It means opening his heart and becoming emotionally honest in a world that's taught him to prioritize strength, independence, and stoicism. He might enjoy the connection when it feels light and pleasurable, but back away when it demands transformation. And because the twin flame bond doesn't allow for superficiality, the moment things get real, when his old self is being challenged, he may panic. In these moments, the ego tries to protect him by sabotaging the connection. He might act like he doesn't care. He might pursue other relationships that feel easier or safer. He might even mock the idea of twin flames or call it nonsense. All of these reactions are ego-based. They're not coming from his soul. His soul already knows who you are, but his ego fears being dismantled by that knowing. The ego craves control, predictability, and power. The soul craves truth, love, and union. When the ego is still in the driver's seat, the messages you receive from the divine masculine will be inconsistent. Sometimes you hear his soul speaking, through moments of connection, vulnerability, and truth. Other times, you hear his ego through silence, avoidance, or deflection. Your role is not to fight the ego, but to stop engaging with it. Don't try to reason with it, argue with it, or fix it. Instead, stay aligned with your own soul. The more you embody your truth, the more his ego will begin to lose its grip. Eventually, the discomfort of living out of alignment becomes too great, and he'll be forced to choose truth over illusion. Number 7. The universe is orchestrating divine timing, not linear logic. Perhaps the most important truth to remember is that this journey is not governed by human timelines. It doesn't follow the rules of conventional relationships, and it doesn't operate within the logic of the 3D mind. This is a divinely timed unfolding of two souls coming back into union, not just with each other, but within themselves. The mixed messages you receive from the divine masculine are not always a sign of confusion or failure. Sometimes They are a reflection of divine orchestration. The universe might be slowing the process down on purpose, not as punishment, but to make sure that when union does happen, it is built on a foundation that will last. Each separation, each moment of silence, each confusing interaction, it all serves a purpose. It pushes both twins to go deeper. It burns away illusions. It clears karmic residue. It forces you to rely on your inner knowing rather than external validation. And it teaches you that union begins within, not outside of you. The divine masculine may still be learning these lessons in a slower, more fragmented way. He may still be attached to the 3D world, struggling to trust the unseen. But his soul is not asleep. It is listening. It is evolving. And it is being guided, just like yours. The confusion you feel now will not last forever. The fog will lift. The chaos will settle. But in the meantime, it's essential to shift your focus away from what he's doing and back toward what you're learning. You are being taught how to trust the unseen, how to surrender to divine flow, and how to love without attachment. This is not about waiting for him to get it. This is about becoming the version of yourself who doesn't need him to. Paradoxically, it is this energy of completeness, sovereignty, and inner alignment that magnetizes union in the first place. Divine timing isn't about delay, it's about divine readiness. And when both twins are ready, the mixed messages stop. What replaces them is clarity, resonance, and a connection that no longer needs explanation. If you've been receiving mixed messages from your divine masculine in 3D, you are not alone. This experience is deeply common, deeply painful, and yet deeply sacred. It is a part of the alchemical process that transforms ego into soul, illusion into truth, and fear into love. These mixed signals are not personal attacks. They are echoes of a soul awakening under pressure. The divine masculine is not your enemy. He is your mirror, and through his chaos, you are being refined. You are being called into deeper levels of trust, surrender, and empowerment. You do not need to fix him, chase him, or decode his every move. You only need to anchor into your own soul, listen to your inner guidance, and keep walking your path with integrity and love. The more you choose yourself, the more you invite him to choose his true self too. There will come a time when the confusion ends, when the energy balances, when the messages you receive from him are not mixed, but aligned. And when that day comes, you will realize that every step of this journey, every moment of doubt, longing, and growth was preparing you for a love that cannot be shaken. Until then, trust the process, trust your soul, and trust that what is meant for you will not be lost. It is simply becoming ready.